I've built a few Gauge 1 live steam locomotives so far. This is the next one I'm going to build, and it's going to be scratch built and it's going to be live steam, and I hope you find the series of following videos interesting to watch. Hello and welcome to part 14 of the GWR Gauge 1 Prairie tank build. As you notice at the moment, I'm all in bits at the moment. What I've been doing since the last episode is we're in a stage now where I've started to make the gaskets for the cylinder block and for the end of the cylinders. I'm using this stuff, this material. From what I remember, I'm pretty sure it's called PTFE, and this makes quite a nice. This material makes quite a nice gasket. It's like a plasticky type of material. You can use paper as well, and I've used paper gaskets in the past, but these are quite nice to work with, and there's less of a tendency for them to tear. So I've made them for the steam chest. Made them for the steam chest, and it's just a simple process really of cutting a little piece of the plastic out, drill a couple of holes, and then just anchor the gasket in anchor the plastic in place, and then just drill the remaining holes round, and then just cut round the edges with a very sharp knife. I use a scalpel blade to cut round these, and it cuts lovely. And so the beauty of these is they're quite tough. There's less of a tendency for them to tear. And where are we? Yeah, there's one I've just made for the cylinder end cap, and you see once the end cap is on, or once the other two faces are together, it makes it's going to make a nice tight seal. So what I'll just show you now, really just quickly, just a little bit of background, is just how I've made these. Right, so I've taken the other cylinder cap, the end cap off the other cylinder, and just cut a piece of our material that we're going to use, and you just see the shape there. And well, basically what I'm going to do now is just drill some holes. Use this as a guide just to drill some holes through, and have this placed on a piece of wood. And as you drill through, you get a nice clean hole here. You don't get any burrs or anything, and it's quite a nice cut. It's quite a nice hole there that's made, and that's what I'm just about to do next on this end plate. Have our end plate ready to drill. As I'm just going to drill through with a little piece of wood just as a backing, just behind it, and just drill one hole first. Just the one, and as I mentioned there, now we have quite a nice hole that's been drilled. The next thing I'll do now is I'll just locate this with a couple of screws. Well, I'll just put a screw in there just to hold that in position, because when I drill the next hole, I don't want this to move. I don't want this little sheet of plastic to wobble around and move out of position too much. So there's a screw through that first hole, just holding that into position. So drill another hole somewhere else for that one. And again, I'll put another little screw and a nut just to hold them in situ. So here we are now. We've just got our piece of plastic just held in now, just with these two screws there, just to stop that moving. And I shall just drill the other three holes through there now. Do this one again. I may notice I held the workpiece right on the end because I didn't want these screws, I didn't want these two screws on here, because that will leave a little gap between what I'm drilling and the piece of wood. And if you leave a little gap, you will get burrs on here on the plastic, and you can go around and tidy them and deburr them, whatever. It can be a little bit of a fiddle, and you sometimes may run a risk of tearing it or making the hole a little bit too big. But that's what I'm talking about now. You should get that on there. So here we are with the 5 holes drilled. Now what we've got on here is this little step. So the gasket, we'll have to cut a hole in this gasket to go over there to fit properly on the end of the cylinder cover. By slowly rotating this around, this piece of plastic, this gasket, I can line it up exactly with the 5 holes in this end piece. So I've got one of them on, and these other 4 all line up perfectly. Okay, you can see what we've got now. Our plastic gasket just screwed onto the end of the cylinder block. So now it's really just a simple job just to cut out this aperture and just cut down. I just cut down this way in sections, making small cuts in there. And now gently start to ease out the aperture. So with it being located, held in with these screws, there's no risk of the gasket moving. There's a cutout for the steam port, so everything lines up nicely now. So I can take this off. Let's double check we'll cut round. So this should now neatly fit over our end plate, which it does. We've got a nice cutout. Got a nice cutout on here, and that fits nicely over the end plate. So it's now just a nice, easy, simple job to gently cut around this edge, and we can just peel it back and just release it from any areas where it's still a little bit, where it's still hanging on. And there you can see we've got a nice gasket in position now, so that's good. Now this is the footnote now for the Smokebox and petticoat. The other thing I've made just to complete the job is, you can see there I made a front plate and a Smokebox door, and that's quite a straightforward little job there. Just unscrew that to show you. It's just screwed in there, and this really just decoration. The Smokebox door, a little disc just been turned in the lathe, and just a slight radius on it to represent the door there, and just some little mock-up little hinges with a pin through there, but it's actually held in with this little screw here that looks like the locking catches on the real thing. And then the front plate, that is a push fit in the Smokebox. I suspect I'll probably have to anchor that. I'll probably have to put some fine screws in just to hold that, but for now it's just a push fit in the Smokebox there. So that's the Smokebox and the saddle all completed. So I'll just reassemble this again. Tighten them up, and that's to say, there it is already. And as I've seen before, that just sits and nicely drops onto there like that. So that's not looking too bad. That's beginning to look reasonably representative of what we're looking for. So we shall carry on.